Good afternoon. Today is February 4th, 2025, and this is the High Point Community Development Committee is meeting. Yours truly, Councilman Tyrone Johnson is present, Councilman Tim Andrew, Councilwoman Vicky McKeever, and we also have Councilwoman Amanda Cook, who is virtually attending with us. And now we'll call it into order. We'll first start with 2025-048, consideration of an agreement and resolution regarding conveyance of property for affordable housing development. And this will be done by our Community Development Director, Nina Wilson.
Good afternoon, Mr. Chair and members of the committee. This is consideration of an agreement and resolution regarding conveyance of property for affordable housing development. To continue infill housing development efforts in the core city, Community Development Housing seeks council approval to convey the following lots to Community Housing Solutions of Guilford in the South Side community: 801 Amos Street, 812, and 816 Tryon Avenue. And the Community Housing Development Organization, or a CHODO agreement, will include additional home funding in the amount of $230,737.70 for 801 Amos Street, 610 and 700 Vale Avenue, which are two lots that were previously conveyed to CHS. CHS continues to construct much-needed affordable single-family housing to aid in the redevelopment of the South Side community. The CHODO agreement in the amount of $230,737.70 is for the city's portion of construction of the 3 housing units. There are sufficient home funds in the current fiscal year 2024-2025 budget. And City Council is requested to consider an agreement in the amount of the $230,000 with CHS and to approve the resolution of conveyance and authorize the appropriate city official to execute all necessary documents.
Okay.
Are there any questions?
Councilman Andrew, a point of clarification. The map that we have here has 5 lots, 702, 700, and 801 Vale, along with 816 and 812 Tryon, where we are conveying 801 Amos, 812, and 816 Tryon.
Okay, certainly. The lots that we're conveying are 801 Amos and 812 and 816 Tryon. Those are the lots that we're conveying. The lots that will be included in the CHODO agreement are 801, which is one of the lots that you'll be conveying, as well as 2 lots that were previously conveyed to them, which are at 610 and 700 Vale. So now they will actually own all of the lots. Does that make sense? Let me see, 610.
But is it 610 or 702 Vale?
Oh, I may have outlined the wrong one. My apologies if I did. It's 610 and 700.
Okay.
Not 702. I apologize.
Very good.
I apologize.
That's what I wanted.
So they own 610. They currently own 610 and 700. And that will be included. And what we're providing is basically just the gap financing.
Yeah.
So it is still 5 lots that are affected. It's just that I apologize. I did circle the wrong lot on that one. So 700 and 610.
Okay.
And then we have the 801 on the corner and the 2 lots on Tryon.
Very good. Thank you.
Thank you for catching that.
Any other questions, comments? All right, so this item does require a vote. And so I would like to make a motion that we, I'm looking at you for wording that we, my look.
Approve the CHODO agreement and authorize the resolution of conveyance.
Woo. All right. I make a motion to authorize the CHODO agreement
And the resolution of conveyance.
and the resolution of conveyance, excuse me. If I could get a second.
I'll second that.
It's been properly moved and second that we proceed forward with this. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposes? Great. Ayes have it. We'll move forward with it. Thank you. The next item is 2025-049, affordable housing update with Winfield Properties. And I do still see Nina Wilson, our community director, development director. And what you got for us?
Thank you. We have Craig Stone of Winfield Properties here. He's going to present some affordable housing updates on the projects that they have. One, the Baker in Maine is a new project that they have submitted a pre-application to North Carolina Housing Finance Agency for the low-income housing tax credits. And this would be an apartment community that will consist of 72 1-, 2-, and 3-bedroom units that will be targeting households between 40% and 80% of AMI. And we will also, you all have the finalized site plan for the Walnut Ridge project. And so we just wanted to give you an update on that particular project too, because they had to make some changes to that final layout just because of to meet some of the, I guess, some of the desires and some of the wants from the community, just to make sure that they kept the neighbors happy. And so you also have that finalized site plan. And that's the project off of Ski Club.
Very good. Thank you.
Here's Craig Stone.
Thank you. Craig Stone, 5614 Riverdale Road, Jamestown, North Carolina. Thank you all for the time, and thank you, Nina and her staff, always for all the support and help that they do for all the folks we're trying to serve. At this time, I wanted to give an update about Walnut Ridge. There has been a slight modification to that particular plan. There was some concerns about that being a 3-story in the area, and we tried to work with those concerns. Obviously, when you go from a 3-story to a 2-story, that is considerable difference in cost. It was originally awarded as a 3-story project. We held the line just a little bit and submitted an application to the Federal Home Loan Bank of Atlanta, and were successful in the last few weeks to receive that award. That award allowed us to move forward without reducing any units, which means that we're able to serve more folks in the community. It's currently around a $14 million total development cost investment in the community, and we will be continuing to serve 60 units. The funds from the Federal Home Loan Bank of Atlanta was highly competitive to compete for gap financing, and that allowed us to be able to move forward as designed. We are currently going through some things with the regulatory process with staff. As always, doing a wonderful job on that. And as it moves through the process, we've secured financing and have syndication for it with a group out of Virginia. And so we're looking forward to moving everything along, and maybe even before too long being able to get into the dirt and move forward on that one.
Very good. For clarification, since I am the Ward 5 rep and my constituents are very concerned, to be very clear, people are not opposed to the development, they're opposed to 3 stories. So are you saying that this is going to continue to move forward as 2 stories?
Yeah, and we met with the community a number of different times, and I think at different times there was concerns about traffic, a number of different things that I hope we've done a good job of listening and mitigating those as best as possible. The clarification, to be exact, there was a concern. The structures in the area are 2-story, and so they felt a little bit better with it being a 2-story structure instead of a 3-story structure. It was originally submitted as a 3-story structure, so we've accommodated and gone to a 2-story structure. Obviously, that is a little bit more expensive to build because of the roofs, the walls, and everything that you've got that is an add there. But we do and have submitted it as a 2-story, and it will be going forward as such. So the residents, I think, that particular concern is allayed.
Very good, because the traffic concerns are not as, shall we say, as concerning, for lack of a better term, than the height because of the around it. And, with the Stratford and the other senior housing all about 2 stories, that's they wanted the continuity of the neighborhood, so I appreciate that. Thank you.
We grew up in the area, I myself, and so we understand, and we try to, with every community, do as much as we can to accommodate all the wishes and try to develop a win-win for everybody. So we certainly understand, and we've submitted to TRC the design, so it is a 2-story design.
Thank you.
Any other questions on Walnut Ridge? Baker in Maine. Baker in Maine has been submitted in this year's tax credit process. As you all know, there's been a number of developments over the years that we've competitively competed in the process with the North Carolina Housing Finance Agency. This particular year, there was 118 applications for roughly 25 to 30 awards. Not quite sure what that will be at the end because you've got gap financing that comes through the legislature and those types of things. So it will be another year that it's highly competitive to compete for the process and to try to get the awards. It is currently contemplated at 72 units, which would amount to about a $14 million investment. Because of the competitive nature of the process, we will probably make adjustments to that. And those adjustments, unfortunately, probably will be that we take some units off to make sure we're competitive. There's a component this year in the award process that gap financing dollars, the agency chose that to be part of what was the decider on how the awards were given out. And so that makes it a little more challenging, especially with some of the funds that we're competing against. We're competing against Charlotte. We're competing against Raleigh. We're competing against Greensboro, Winston-Salem. Those folks in a metro context. Obviously, generally it's one and at times two awards. We were successful, I will note, with the Flats at Old Winston Road this year, just received its award. And so we're moving forward with that property as well, and that amounts to about a $12 million investment in the community. So hopefully Baker and Maine will proceed. I will say this year's award cycle and award process with 118 applications is going to be very, very competitive. And so we're going to do our best to position it as best we can as we move through the process. And obviously staff is working quite diligently to try to do everything they can to help the award be as competitive as it can, and we'll see how things shake out.
Did they, I'm sorry, were you finished?
No, well, with that, yes.
Okay. Did they kind of let us know when the decision will be made? Because I know you said 118. You're going against 118.
Do we have any insight right now?
Yes.
I am a superstitious person, so I can never answer that fully. But the answer at this point in time, you can have a chance at moving forward. You cannot have a chance at moving forward. We have a chance at moving forward. Unfortunately, the way, if you get go to the North Carolina Housing Finance Agency's website, you can get their QAP, Qualified Allocation Plan. That Qualified Allocation Plan has sort of the rules of the road, no different than if you built like a model and got instructions with it. It's the same thing. In there, it comes down to tie breaks. Obviously, in the county, it's Appendix L goes first, which is what particular counties receive the least number of units, so the county itself ties. You leave that, and what the calculation then becomes the dollars in gap financing that are put into a particular property on a per total development cost. So the ratio of those dollars into the unit, how does that work? That last year we were incredibly competitive, and one of the reasons we reduced the Flats at Old Winston down in units because it was submitted at a higher unit count, which is unfortunate for not being able to serve as many folks of the community as we can. We lowered the number of units so that we could increase the ratio and impact of the dollars that we were working with there. So it's a bit of a competitive process with all the applications. This is all we do, and part of what we try to do is analyze that competitive process and make sure that we're putting forth as best an application as we can. And this year, it's going to be quite difficult. We may get some insight into some of the dollars that we're competing against in Greensboro's round, and also looking at Charlotte and Raleigh. And so what we'll do is go back, engage, and work with staff and everybody to try to get a competitive balance of units. We're trying to get the most amount of units we can with what we have and try to win the tiebreak. And this year, when it all comes down to it, it'll be the second tiebreak that is the most competitive component of what we're doing, which is dollars per unit on a total development impact.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other questions?
Curious. From my understanding, there's a difference between a retention pond and a detention pond. The retention pond is to hold the water. The detention pond is to get rid of it. Is that the intent here? Because I see the picture next to a floodplain, Maybe it's too early that I just noticed that.
You're exactly right in how those, and one is post and pre and how they do it. The one good thing is, we submit a plan to municipal review through the TRC process, and that goes through, and so they'll calculate, those types of things and look at those and hold us in check. We have an engineer that works in the community quite a bit, BWA, that I think understands the rules and has worked with staff over and over again. And so the labeling, I think, actually should be retention pond there, because you want to hold the post water to the site. We'll go back and check that, but I know also there's a check and balance system that goes through there and look at it.
Excellent, thank you.
We do have another couple of applications that we're working on right now that would be a couple hundred units, but I don't think we'll speak on those at this time.
Thank you.
Well, of course, as the Ward 2 representative, I've got to always ask you about Brentwood.
We are working on Brentwood.
Is that one of the ones you're working on still?
Yeah, we are working on Brentwood. We also have another site that we're working on right now that I think we've communicated before to the past. But Brentwood, we are looking for that to maybe be positioned as a bond application. It's not as competitive in the 9% credit round. So the awards that we're talking about, the flats at Old Winston, excuse me, and what we're doing with Baker and Maine this year, those compete in the 9% tax credit round. It is much more competitive than the 4% round. The Brentwood school site does not qualify point system-wise quite as well in the 9% round. So what we're trying to do is look at it in the 4% application. We're also trying to partner it with another site so that there's some economies of scale of cost and see if we can submit one larger application for over 200 units.
Okay.
We don't have anything of real teeth at this time to really sort of bring back and show that we are working on that quite extensively. We actually have looked at maybe switching the Brentwood site from a family to an elderly so that we can make it a little more competitive at this time. But we've got to discuss that as well and go through some things.
Okay, great.
Any other questions? Thank you all.
Thank you.
If I could, I just wanted to add to, at this point for the Baker and Maine, as he was talking about the tiebreakers and the gap financing, that of course is where we come in to assist those applications. And right now we haven't gotten our federal allocations last year. They came out in May, so we're not really sure exactly when we'll get those allocations. And we're hoping that, always no cuts, that's what we hope, but we'll see once we get those. And also that is the type of project that when you start talking about the housing fund, these are the types of projects that developers can look to that housing fund to actually be able to potentially fill some of those gaps. Right now, of course, we're not really sure when we'll be able to start taking applications or when self-help, when they'll be ready to do that. But that is the mechanism and another tool that we're looking at to help more developers build build that housing. And just like he said with the flats at Old Winston, even though we were committing $1 million, he still had to decrease the number of units, just to make it more competitive. So just kind of wanted to give you that tidbit.
Great. Thank you. Mm-hmm. Thank you. Any other questions, comments? All right. All right, we'll move on to 2025-050, High Point Community Extension Agent Year-End Report. And we have Nina Wilson, Community Director, Development Director, is up.
Okay. Crystal Mercer is no stranger to you all, so it's really not an introduction. She's been here many times, but she is the Community and School Gardens Extension Agent, and she's going to give you the report for year-end 2024.
Great. And she gives it with so much passion. I love it. Beautiful pictures. I love it.
Which one did you say it was? This one there. Okay. Good evening. Thank you for having me again. I am here to make the end of the year report, and I can say that we ended out with a very positive year. We have 53 community schools, community gardens in Guilford County, in High Point, and 7 are neighborhood gardens, 15 community organizations, 6 are urban agriculture, 20 are school gardens, and 5 are youth gardens. We lost a school garden because I think it was High Point Central. They haven't started their garden, but it was a big issue with getting water to that garden. So that one's on pause. The gardens that received the 2024 City of High Point Community Garden Assistance Program, they are listed there. And we had 2 schools that also received that grant, that assistance. Out of the 6 grants that were awarded, the total came to $759.94, but the fair market value was $2,249.20, which is a savings of $1,489.26. I provide technical assistance to our community garden leaders. This is Miss Valentina Curtis with Moorhead Rec. She had some issues in her garden, and she asked me to come out and make recommendations and give her some guidance. This is Miss Tanya Thornton. She is she's the founder of Building Better Blocks Incorporated, and she needed some assistance on starting a garden in her at her location. This is Lydia House Resource Center. Miss Carol Smith is the founder for building partnership with Lydia House, and we're there to, when I say we're in North Carolina Cooperative Extension, we're there to also offer any educational programs. This has not changed from my last report. The new and restart gardens are what we started from January through December, High Point and other areas in Guilford County. The Guilford County has the Extension Master Gardener volunteer program, and each year they have a plant sale, and from that plant sale they use some of the proceeds to offer grants to community and schools. And last year a $300 micro grant went to 3 High Point schools: Florence, Shady Brook, and Union Hill. And this was a picture of last December, and it was the whole team that came together to celebrate. There's also a micro grant for community gardens that was offered through the Master Gardener program, and Highland Mills was one of the recipients of that award. Once again, I provide gardening classes during the year, and we had 3 season gardening series: spring, summer, and fall. And this is located at the High Point Library. They're teaching gardens. We did something different this year. We have a wonderful staff member, Mata Amador, and she provided a building community and resilience through garden education. So it was called Green Thumb Smart Budget for Community Gardens. We only had 1 participant, but it was a powerful one-person show there. The participant made a comment, and it is absolutely beautiful. She said she was inspired by the workshop. She set a new SMART goal to establish a community garden on her own property due to the absence of local options, local fresh food options. That was pretty powerful for just 1 person.
Yeah.
Once again, we had the High Point Community Garden Contest. We had 3 winners. Best overall community garden was Bountiful Harvest. Best use of sustainable materials was Southside Community Garden. And our best new community garden of 2024 was Triad Health Project. Our upcoming events, container gardening for seniors, is going to be at the YWCA. Seeds to Share is this weekend at the High Point Library. That is February 8th from 9 to 11, not 9 to 12, but 9 to 11. Once again, I will make sure there's a 3-season vegetable gardening series again. Gardens on the Glass was very successful 2 years ago, so we will have another Gardens on the Glass for seniors is making terrariums. They'll make their very own world of a garden. The free plant giveaway will be in June, and our High Point Community Garden Contest, we will be doing that again. And I want to thank you so much for a great year. Are there any questions?
Forgive the, I'm math guy here. So we received 45.6 tons of wood mulch, 34 tons of compost, and 33 tons of topsoil. But at $17 a ton of mulch, fair market value, that seems to be a lot more than $759.94. I don't understand the math behind that.
Let me have to go back to that. So you're talking about the compost?
There's a slide that says support for
Right
new
here.
existing gardens.
Yeah. Okay, it was 34 tons of compost. That was the total of all 6 gardens that ordered compost, and they had different, some ordered 3 tons, some ordered 6 tons, but it equaled out to 34 tons of compost. Go ahead, Tom.
If I can add, what we actually do is out of our budget, we get a discounted rate. So it's basically what we call, it's a city rate that we're charged when we actually give these materials to the gardens. And so when she says a fair market value, she's basically comparing what rate we're paying versus the rate that if you had gone to any other, garden or greener, a greenhouse or anything like that. So so they're paying a discounted rate.
6 and multiplied by 17 got 34,006. That's why I'm like.
Oh, okay. I didn't. Okay. Yeah, we didn't do the numbers. So say it again now. 17 times. Okay.
But
we acknowledge
I'm
there may
sorry.
be. Yeah, we'll fix that if there's an error.
I'll fix that next time. I'm sorry. I'll be careful next time. But thank you for that question.
We thank God for the discount, I tell you.
That's a great discount.
Oh yeah, right.
But yes, great year. And Seeds to Share, and those are where we're giving seeds out.
Free seeds.
Free seeds. And that
Flower,
is
herbs.
this Saturday at the High Point Public Library from 9 until 11.
Yes, sir.
Okay, great. Well, great job.
Okay, great.
Yes, everything looks great. Any other questions or comments?
The seats to share at the library, at 9 to 11 on Saturday, is it available to the public, general
It's
public?
actually designed for community and school gardens.
Community school gardens, okay, just
Yes.
clarifying. Thank you.
Yes, sir.
I'm glad you clarified that. All right. I believe that's it. Thank you so much. Meeting adjourned.